Welcome back. My next guest is Carol Ackerman, Lieutenant from the New City Ambulance Corps. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you.
So, Carol, delighted to have you on the program. I know that you've had a lengthy history with the New City Ambulance Corps. You had been the president for a number of years. You're now the lieutenant in some leadership positions. Before we get to the Corps, let's talk a little bit about yourself for our viewers. How long have you lived in the town? You know, and where'd you go to school?
So I grew up in Rockland. I went to Ramapo High School, and I actually joined the youth corps at Spring Hill. My friends had been there, and it was a way to get a parking permit at the high school if you joined the ambulance corps. So it was not really, I went in sort of the back door, but I actually really enjoyed it. I got to see things that I'd never seen before, and I think at a young age, it helped to put life in perspective. I learned to not take things so seriously, and it could always be worse. And to see people, unfortunately, at their worst, it makes you appreciate your own life better. So I did youth corps at Spring Hill, and then I actually joined the Nanuet Ambulance Corps because I had friends there, so we used to ride together, and it became not just helping people, but a social club. Right. So I made friends, lifelong friends, and then I went off to college. And two of my friends from Nanuet Ambulance were also we went to SUNY Oneonta, and we started the ambulance corps at college. So wow. It was a first response group. We had the Oneonta downtown, the fire department, that came all the way up to campus, so the response time was really long. So our discussion on this was we can cut down the response time and help people quickly. So we were all EMTs, and we started the student medical response team up at SUNY Oneonta. We got a truck donated, we got it lettered and designed, and so it was such a great experience doing that. And I recently toured Oneonta with my son, who's going to be going away to college, and they are now the Oneonta ambulance, well, EMS, and still don't have an ambulance itself, but they have a first response vehicle, they have a whole training program, so it's been nice to see things grow. So when I moved back to the county after I was living in Westchester for a while, I had become a paramedic in Westchester and worked there for a while. And when I came back to raise my family here, I moved to New City, and that was in 2005. And I joined the New City Ambulance Corps. I thought it'd be a way to make friends and also help the community. And it was always something I was very comfortable with and wanted to stay connected with. So, and that's exactly what happened. I made friends. I started off just volunteering like 1 or 2 Sundays a month, and it just became something that was part of my life. Like I said, I made friends, I recruited new people, I was just a riding member, and then I was asked to run for president. And initially it was a little bit intimidating, but it was a great experience to take over leadership. My other life, my job was, I was at Nyack Hospital running the wound care center, so I already had management experience. So coming in to basically revamp the way that we did things on an administrative level was a really good, challenging experience for me. I believe I inspired others to continue, volunteering, to recruit others. It was, part of my plan was to make people happy, to continue volunteering, to want to be part of our organization and feel like they belonged somewhere. Right.
So which absolutely incredible background story. I mean, when you think about it, so you started in high school, kind of went in the back door for a parking permit, and to think that it really becomes your life's passion outside your family, right?
And it's more than that. In college, my friends worked at supermarkets or gas stations or restaurants, making minimum wage. I was making really good money as an EMT and then as a paramedic at a young age. Where at 22 years old, I think I was making like $45,000 working as a medic, and this was also during college. And so it was an opportunity for me at a young age to learn the value of money, to learn how to save. I bought my first apartment, my first condo in Westchester because I did this. It was, it was a stepping stone to things that I never imagined. Mm-hmm. And so, from there, it was always something I fell back on. Back in 2014, I left the hospital. I took on I went to a biotech startup company, and within 10 months, they ran out of money. So I was on a Friday out of work, out of healthcare, no job, nothing, and I was able to start the following Monday at Rockland Paramedic Services with, benefits and healthcare for my family. So it was always something. From that point on, I never gave up my position at Rockland Paramedics, but I always volunteered because there's so many benefits to it. And also, having support and community.
Right.
So,
And people don't realize that here as well. In Rockland County, in Clarkstown, we have an entirely we have volunteer corps, right? And then in the volunteer corps, they have some paid members as well, that folks that they'll bring in that they pay that supplement the volunteers. But tell us a little bit about what goes into being a volunteer ambulance corps member. What's a shift like? What's the training that they get? How does somebody just, you just don't, walk in off the street and, get in an ambulance and then show up at a medical call. One of the guests in this program is Earl Lawrence in the Clarkstown Police Department, one of our detective sergeants. And we were talking a lot about overdoses, and there's a lot of medical calls, for that as well. So, but what's the type of training that people get? What's the expectation, and what's a typical shift like?
Right. Well, I can delve into the history of EMS, but starting out at least with New City Ambulance, it was simple first aid and CPR back in 1960 when it started, and now we offer every volunteer. It's free. The state pays for EMT training, emergency medical technician. It's about 3-month class that's offered at the Fire Training Center, and they do an amazing job of teaching people how to respond to emergencies, and that's the first step. Well, the first step is high school. You have to have a GED or a high school diploma to be able to qualify. And then we sign off that the state will pay for this training, and our volunteers go into the EMT class usually within the first year of service. So we like people to get a little bit of a taste of what it's like going on the ambulance calls and making sure that they're comfortable doing that, and they just jump right into the class. It's a commitment, but it's if you do your homework, it's easy. It's very straightforward and simple and well taught. So after about 3 months, you sit for the state exam, and you become an emergency medical technician. And then we have a training program. So currently I'm the training officer for New City Ambulance. So once you're trained, we do drills, we do practice with the students, but once they're trained, they are trained to be in charge on the call. So they will be, once you're an EMT, you are the one who is interviewing the patient and doing your patient assessment and treating. We partner with Rockland Paramedic Services, so we have paramedics dispatched to every call. But sometimes they're on another call, and it does fall to the EMT to do the initial assessment, and it's a lot of responsibility, but it's a great challenge. And these are our neighbors; these are people that we know, and we're there to care for them. And so the training is initially just as an EMT. Well, first CPR, and then as an EMT. And then from there, you can take it where you want to go. You can continue volunteering, and a lot of our younger members will eventually get a paid position as well. So they will volunteer still, but they'll also take an EMT position. And so, well, it used to be that you could leave your job in the middle of the day and go on an ambulance corps, on a call. Nobody can really do that anymore. Right. So we do have dedicated staff, volunteer and paid, that will cover the shifts. And there's times we can't get enough volunteers anymore. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, but it's been very difficult to get people to commit to the class and then to commit to volunteering. We used to require 60 hours a month, and now we're down to 48 and discussing going a little bit lower too, because just to retain people is difficult in our busy lives. Right. So we encourage anybody who's over 18 to, this is for senior corps, to join the ambulance corps. We'll train you, we'll walk you through the program, and we'll help support you until you're ready to be on your own. We also have the youth corps, which is how I had gotten started. And there is a perk for Clarkstown North. You do get a parking pass. You're allowed to park at the building. So there are, unfortunately, kids who join just for that reason. But for the most part, they genuinely want to learn. And they learn the basics of, CPR and how to take blood pressures and what equipment is on the ambulance. And when I have a youth corps member on a call, I like to let them do. Like I push them to do, an assessment or do blood pressure, and to really put some hands on and see if this is something they might want to do for their lives. And if not, as an EMT, maybe further for nursing or medical school.
Right.
So we do have a lot of students that start out, wanting to go to medical school, and this gives them a little bit of a taste of what it's like.
Great. So Carol, we've only got a minute or two left. So how does somebody get in contact with you? How does somebody volunteer?
So we have a page. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page, but we also have newcityems.org, and you can go to the Join page and fill out the application that's on there. There's also an inquiry page, and there's the regular phone number. But generally, online is probably the easiest way to reach out to us. We would love to have new volunteers. You don't have to be 18. You don't have to be, of a certain age. You just have to be able to lift 125 pounds, which
Right.
is, probably the minimum requirement is that you're able to lift enough. We have so much, equipment that's excellent these days. We don't do a lot of lifting, but there are times that you have to. So
Right.
there are corps in the county that will take just drivers. So if it's not New City Ambulance, there are, I think, Nyack Ambulance, maybe Nanuet as well, that will take just drivers. We, at this point, haven't changed our rules to that way. We would like everybody to be trained as an EMT. But as we've noted, things have changed, and
Right.
at this point, we are happy to discuss the options that are available. We don't generally take people that are not able to help in that way. We have a lot of older members, life members. I'm a life member as well, so I do other things, like I do payroll for the paid staff and various odds and end job. But for the most part, we would love anybody to give us a call to discuss whether this is something that they'd be able, willing, or even capable of doing.
Great. So just if you could give the contact info one more time.
So newcityems.org, or our Facebook page, New City Ambulance Corps, and we'd love to hear from anybody who wants to inquire, find out, join. And it's not, we have a gym, we've got pool tables, we've got television, and on top of that, there's also a service awards program, which is basically a retirement plan. So after you put in a certain amount of years and hours, there are some benefits. Once you turn 60, you do get some benefits, financial benefits. There's also a discount on your taxes for being a volunteer ambulance corps member.
So we're really trying to put a focus and highlight on our ambulance corps. They're wonderful institutions. There's 5 that cover the town of Clarkstown: New City, Nanuet, Congress Valley Cottage. Spring Hill covers a portion, as does the Nyack Ambulance Corps as well.
Yep.
So Carol, thanks for being a great guest.
Thanks for having us.
We wish you well as you continue your endeavors and your career, and really thank you, because you've really been involved in saving lives for decades, and lives not just here in our town, but lives elsewhere, and we thank you for your service.
I think when we help others, we help ourselves,
Great.
and it makes a difference. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.